gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My Two Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 239 of the podcast. And first things first, I would like to ask every single one of you, how are you guys doing? I'm hoping everyone had a great to lovely week. If you didn't, I'm hoping that this week that we're stepping into right now will be great and lovely for you. And if you had a great and lovely week last week, I'm hoping that you guys will carry that momentum into this upcoming week. So that's first thing first. Secondly, I want to say this right now. Please do not stress yourself out so much. Okay? I know a lot of people are dealing with a lot of things. I know people are just trying to live day to day because the world is real funny. And I'll get into some of those aspects of the world being funny now more than ever. But things are happening, and I just want people not to stress out over things that they cannot control. I want people to handle things that are applicable to you, and also handle things that you know you can actually handle. Don't try to put too much on your plate, which will overly stress you out, which will lead to your physical decline and mental decline, because that will lead you into an early grave. And again, I don't want that. And I don't think anybody that you know and love, or anyone that know and loves you, will want you to go into an early grave. So please, for the love of God, do not stress out so much. Only handle what you can handle on your plate. And please, again, just take care of yourself. All right. Now, with me saying that, let's get on to the National Food Days of the week. Today being August the 3rd, it is White Wine Day, National IPA Day, and Watermelon Day. Please drink responsibly if you do drink alcohol, okay? August 4th will be Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. August 5th will be Oyster Day. August 6th will be Root Beer Float Day. August 7th, Raspberry and Cream Day. August 8th will be International Beer Day, Zucchini Day, and Frozen Custard Day. Again, if you drink alcohol, please drink responsibly, and please be responsible in your drinking. And to round us out, August 9th, Rice Pudding Day. Now, with the National Food Days out the way, I do want to make mentions of things that's basically going down right now with the weather. I know over in the southern areas of the United States, we've been getting some rains, some storms. This weekend, it hit us, at least right where I was at, it hit us more Friday night, not too much Saturday. I'm hoping that it doesn't increase. I know that the heat constantly is going to stay here at least until early September. All of August is more likely going to be at least humidity wise, probably in the 90s, probably 100, feel like that way. But I'm used to that, and I think everyone in the South's kind of used to that. If you're not, I would say you want to probably rack up on shorts next year. And also, it's almost time for kids to get back into school. I know certain places kids are already in school. Get your kids their school supplies and make sure that they're prepared and ready for this upcoming school semester. And continuing on with the weather, because I just drifted off from that. Over in the Midwest, they're dealing with some smoke coming from the wildfires that's been burning in Canada. And this has been an ongoing thing. I don't understand how that's been a thing, or it's been an ongoing thing, if you will, because Canada, I want to say for the last 2 years now, if I'm not mistaken, have been having some wildfires. And again, this is the first time I'm really noticing and really seeing this. And they're really, again, I'm not just saying advertising this, but they're trying to put out an advisory to the people in the Midwest They did say that air quality alerts are in effect in cities including Minneapolis, Chicago, and Detroit, and Des Moines, Iowa. They say most of the alerts pertain to sensitive groups, but in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and upper peninsula of Michigan, air quality might be considered unhealthy for everyone at times. So if you are in the Midwest, I would say if you still have those air quality masks that people wore more specifically during COVID in 2020, 2021, if you still have it now and you still wear them, it's the time to wear them. I say going into your fall time where it's going to be cold for you guys. I just want to get that up to everyone that might have people in the Midwest. Call them up, see how they're doing, let them know what's going down, and just tell them to wear a mask. People might say they don't want to wear a mask, but make sure they do it. All right. Now, moving off of that, going into something that I did mention when I first started the episode off, stress. Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California, he has signed an executive order Wednesday and is aimed at supporting men and boys and improving their mental health. He would put in an order that directs the state health and human service agency to recommend ways to address suicide rates among young men and help them seek services to improve their mental health and well-being. It also requires the state to connect them with education and career opportunities. I'm getting this from the Associated Press. It would say that too many young men and boys are suffering in silence, disconnected from community, opportunity, and even their own families. Newsom said in a statement, "This action is about turning that around. It is about showing every young man that he matters and that there's a path for him of purpose, dignity, work, and real connection." I'm glad that they are putting focus on men and their mental health. I feel, and this is just my opinion here, being a guy, I say growing up in the 2000s, we were probably like in the last of that generation of being the kids to suck it up. Don't cry in public. Don't talk about your feelings so much like that. Only a certain select households, if you were taught a specific way, where it was allowed or it was okay for you to cry in public, talk about your emotions to just different people instead of just keeping it in. If it wasn't your family members, you weren't able to just talk about it to everyone because you wanted to keep household business inside the home. Now, with it being a new era and kids that were raised up in the 2000s, they're now adults and they're having kids themselves. I feel that they are showing and teaching their kids that it is okay to show your emotion. It is okay to express yourself. I'm glad that we are getting that. I'm glad that California's governor did put out an executive order to try to support men and boys in their mental health and try to lower the suicide rates. I'm happy for them doing that. I'm hoping that that's kind of a thing that's going to take shape all around the United States, because if we're already doing this in California, I hope other states look at that within the upcoming years, because, you know, someone got to be the guinea pig to see how everything turns out. But if the numbers are right and suicide rates from men and boys are going to drop, I'm hoping that other states will look at what California did and apply it to their states, especially when you got now Trump and his administration. They put back into order, I believe it is the fitness tests that went around until the Obama administration kind of killed that off. I don't remember the fitness test whenever I was growing up. I probably had it, but again, it's been some time since then. But if we're able to get the fitness test being brought back, that's physical fitness. We need to have people's mental health, their mental fitness also being checked as well. So I'm hoping someone can get into Trump's ear and tell him, hey, you might not like Gavin Newsom, but you probably want to look into what he's doing with the that executive order for looking into men and boys' mental health, and probably see if you can do that for the whole country. That's what I'm hoping someone can do. But again, I'm glad that California's governor is doing that. I'm glad that someone is looking into men and boys' mental health and trying to reassure them that they are not alone. They can talk about how they're feeling and all of that to make sure that suicide rates do drop, and we hopefully can get rid of suicide with the men, boys, all that type of stuff. And also look into our women and our females as well. I know it's a thing where we look at females and we say that they're emotional, they talk about everything, they talk about their feelings too much. That's usually a thing that always comes to pass. But there are some females that do not talk about their emotions because they get labeled as you talk too much. You get labeled as you show your feelings too much. You get labeled as being too emotional. And certain women, just like dudes, they shut down. And I'm hoping that this isn't just an initiative for the guys. I'm hoping that this is also an initiative for the girls. If they see a girl shutting down, not showing her feelings, and you could just see that something's wrong, I'm hoping that they go and give them some help as well. So I'm hoping that this not only touches the guys' perspective, but this can also lend effort over to the women as well. But again, congratulations to California, their governor. I'm glad that he's doing that. Moving off of that, now it's time for me to talk about something that's happening actively right now. By the time of this recording, there is still a former U.S. soldier. He is a suspect for a Montana bar shooting that killed 4 people. Associated Press will write up an article about it. They say a shooting at a Montana bar left 4 people dead Friday, prompting a lockdown in a neighborhood several miles away as authorities search for the suspect in a wooded, mountainous area. The shooting happened around 10:30 a.m. at the Owl Bar. According to the Montana Division of Criminal Investigation, the agency confirmed 4 people were pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect, identified as 45-year-old military veteran Michael Brown, lived next door, according to public records. The bartender and 3 patrons were killed, the bar owner would say, who was not there at the time. He believed the 4 victims were the only ones present during the shooting and was not aware of any prior conflicts between them and Brown. The bar owner would say he knew everybody that was in that bar. I guarantee you that. He didn't have any running dispute with any of them. I just think he snapped. Brown's home was cleared by SWAT team, and he was last seen in the Stump Town area just west of Anaconda, authorities said. So right now they're still tracking down Michael Brown. If you're in the Montana, state alone, if you happen to see Michael Brown, because I'm pretty sure they got his mugshot or face shot on their news stations, please call your local officials and try to get the man arrested. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if homeboy snapped or not, but with my limited questioning with military veterans, because I have to say this, I did do a capstone when I was in college twice on whose responsibility it is for veterans when they come back into the States to be looked after. I did do a capstone on that. I talked to a limited, because it wasn't that many vets that I did speak with. I'll say in both capstones together, I probably talked to 10, 15 vets, but the common underlying thing is that the vets in other countries are treated better than the vets in this country. That was a question I asked the veterans, how, when they were stationed in other countries, how were the military, how were the people that served, how were they looked at amongst their people in the other countries compared to whenever they come back into the United States, how the U.S. view them. They all, I'll say about a good roughly 7 or 8 of them, said that the United States, the people in the States don't look at or put a lot of positive notes on being someone that's served. Okay? So the government doesn't really look after you like that. The people in the States don't really look at the vets with the most positive light. The only time they might get some type of positive lighting is whenever they're at some type of athletic event and you got to do the whole standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, for the national anthem, and that's whenever you get people actually giving your veterans their just due. Other than that, not really. So the bar owner could be right. This veteran could have just snapped. But I don't know. I do want this vet to be arrested if he did do this, first and foremost. But I am just gonna hold my judgment on this because this is still a new thing. There's still more information to be uncovered at the moment, and still at this moment right now, at the time of this recording, Michael Brown is still out there on the loose, and hopefully they will get him and they'll be actually able to talk to him and see what happened at the bar, or if he was at the bar. And 2, I'm hoping that he doesn't self-transitions, because if he does, there'll be a lot of questions left unanswered. And I think the most damaging thing whenever you have someone that you love die in a shooting, whether it's at a school shooting or a bar shooting or any of those big events shootings, and the person responsible for doing the disastrous action happens to self-transition, I think as a person that's never lost someone, if I lost someone in that situation, I would like to know the motive for why that person did what they did. So again, I'm hoping that they do find homeboy, and if they do, ask him about it, see about it, and I just hope that he doesn't self-transition. That's all I got to get with this. So again, when more information comes out about this Michael Brown incident, I will be back on this platform talking about it. Now, moving off of that, this was a topic that I talked about, I want to say a couple years ago. But nevertheless, BBC will write an article about a U.S. dentist who was jailed for murder after poisoning his wife's protein shakes. A U.S. dentist who poisoned his wife has been sentenced to life in prison without parole after a Colorado jury found him guilty of murder and other charges. James Craig, 47, has been having an affair when he plotted to kill his wife, Angela Craig, in March 2023. After lacing his wife's protein shakes with arsenic, he gave her a fatal dose of cyanide while she laid ill in the hospital, prosecutors said. Prosecutors also argued during a 2-week trial that the dentist felt trapped in his marriage but was facing financial troubles and did not want a divorce. Defense lawyers had argued that Angela Craig, who was 43, died by suicide because she was heartbroken about her husband's constant affairs. However, the coroner determined that she died as a result of cyanide and a chemical that was used in eye drops. Evidence showed James Craig searched for phrases including how many grams of pure arsenic would kill a human and is arsenic detectable in autopsies, and had a shipment of potassium cyanide delivered to his dental practice. 2 days later, Angela Craig drank a protein shake that made her feel dizzy and weak, and she was admitted to a hospital in suburban Denver. Footage from a security camera showed the dentist holding a syringe before entering his wife's hospital room. Her condition rapidly deteriorated and she was declared brain dead days later. So, the jury would find Craig guilty of first-degree murder on Wednesday, along with other charges including solicitation to commit murder, resulting from his attempts to get a fellow jail inmate to kill a detective working on the case. He was acquitted of manslaughter. I want to say this. First and foremost, how can one person do that to someone. I don't think people understand this. And I want people to hear me and hear me good when I say this. If you are in a marriage and you do not have the love for your spouse anymore, I would like for you to not kill your spouse. I would like for you to walk away from your spouse, leaving you and your spouse or your ex-spouse to be alive. Okay? Because we have seen a lot, and it's more on the guy side. It ain't like women haven't done it either, but it's more on the guy side where we see the guys having an affair. They can't divorce their wife because of financial situations. So they decide, instead of me divorcing my wife, I'm just going to kill her. Why? Have that uncomfortable conversation with your wife. You did the action to cause betrayal in your marriage. And you might not see it as betrayal because you might not love her anymore, but it is betrayal because you guys are in a union or in a partnership, however you wanted to look at it as. But you decided to step out. You have no more love for her. Have that unfortunate or uncomfortable conversation with that person instead of coming to your mind, coming up with the thought, you know what, I'm going to murk them. I'm going to murk them so I won't have to pay them any type of child support or anything like that if you have children with them. Or if you're a big time celebrity or just someone that has money, you're not going to try to pay them alimony, spousal support, all that type of stuff. Okay? Because certain people don't want to do that. You have to have those conversations. It is something that you're just going to have to suck up, my G. Because you no longer have love for your spouse. I would rather people do that instead of killing someone. Killing your spouse. Killing someone that you, at one point in your life, made the decision to put a ring, or certain people don't do rings anymore, get a tattoo. You decided that you were going to spend your time, spend your life that you knew of at the time with them. You and that person decided to have a ceremony, not a ceremony, but meet with someone to commit this act and do it. And for you to step out, cool, not really cool, but it happens a lot. But for you to do the unthinkable and say, I'm going to murk them and get them out of my life and get them out of existence, that's nuts to me. And in this particular case with the dentist right here with his wife, he had, if I'm not mistaken, 6 children. You're taking a mother away from her kids. You're taking the kids away from their mother that they won't be able to see again. That is nasty work, my man. That's disgusting. You did all of this to avoid having a conversation with her saying, hey, I don't want to be with you no more. And again, the worst thing she could have done was literally just say, okay, cool, I'm going to try to harm you by tapping your pockets, and what? You'll be struggling for a minute to pay her what the court's going to ask you to give her? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Because again, my guy, there was no way you were going to eliminate her. There was no way you were going to eliminate her and get away with it, my G. It's not gonna happen, dude. It's not. I want that to be a lesson for a lot of people out there. And again, look at how many times a guy has been doing this. Not just to say recently, but I'm talking about just like over the past couple years. Me being on this podcast, I started this in like legit the last week of December 2020, but it's almost been 5 years me doing this. I have talked about this particular incident, I want to say, if anything, probably a handful, almost 2 handfuls of time of a man killing his wife or plotting to kill his wife because he's having an affair and he didn't want to have the uncomfortable conversation with his wife saying, I want to divorce you. Just have the uncomfortable conversation. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like it, but it's the truth. You got to. Instead of doing something like this, where now the kids lost both parents. The father is going to be in jail while the mother is no longer living, breathing on this planet. And all this could have been avoided if you just would have had a conversation with your spouse and say, hey, I don't want to be in this anymore. That's all you could have done. That's it. That's it. I know it's easier said than done, but it has to be done instead of you just murking someone. That's just my simple take on this. I don't have no other complex take on this. James Craig, you're an idiot, my guy. Especially, by the way, when you look up seeing if arsenic can be like detected in the autopsy. How much can arsenic kill a person? You can't be searching that on your laptop neither. And this is just pure knowledgeable situations now. This ain't, again, back in early 2000s, you can go to a library that was one of those big booty libraries, and not too many people kept logs on who was at this computer, that computer, like that. This ain't that no more. People are way more savvier in 2020s, especially we're about to go into 2030s now. We're about to hit that decade. People are way more advanced. People are way more savvy. Dude, you can't be searching up these things on your computer, your work computer, your personal computer, on your phone, even in those quote unquote private incognito type of things on your phones or laptops. You can't be searching those things up because they always can be tracked, and they will be tracked when something bad happens. You can't be doing that. So again, don't do this. If you're in a relationship with someone or you're in a marriage with someone and you just can't do it anymore, have that conversation with them. Have that talk with them. And either one of two things is going to happen. One, your marriage will end, period, point blank. Or either two, you and your spouse will come out of that conversation with a different perspective, with either you guys want to try to make this thing better, or two, just purity resentment. So I just still go with having a conversation instead of just trying to murk your spouse, the person that you did try to love at one point. That's just me. But James Craig, hey man, you're gonna be in prison for a very long time. The best bet for you is to probably just offer your services to all the guards and your cell inmates. Whenever someone has a bad toothache, hey man, tell them what's going on with their tooth and try to see what you can to remedy it. That's the only thing I can say for you to technically be safe in prison. That's the only thing I got for you there. But yeah, man, this was stupid. The moral of the story here is, one, you should never cheat. Made that perfectly clear. But two, if you no longer have love for your spouse, please have that conversation with them and see what you guys can do. All right. Now, moving off of that, on to another unfortunate situation. This was covered by the Associated Press. They would say teacher admits to fatally stabbing a couple on a hike with their kids in a random attack in Arkansas. A teacher admitted he fatally stabbed a couple he didn't know who were hiking with two of their children in Arkansas State Park, authorities said Thursday, after a 5-day search and hundreds of tips led to his arrest. State police arrested 28-year-old Andrew McGann on Wednesday at a barbershop in Springdale, 30 miles approximately north of Devil's Den State Park. We need to change the park name, by the way. Have something be called Devil's Den. I don't think nothing ever is going to come out good of that. Just food for thought here. Andrew is charged with 2 counts of capital murder and the killings of last Saturday's of Clinton David Brink and his wife Christine Brink. Andrew is being held without bond. Now, Major Stacy Rhodes, who is the commander of the department's criminal investigation division, would say during a news conference Thursday that he did indicate he committed the murders. When asked to elaborate, she said, I would call it an omission. Arkansas State Police Colonel Mike Hager said authorities are trying to determine the motive for the attack and have no reason to believe Andrew knew the couple or their children. Officials said the husband was stabbed first approximately half a mile into the park, then his wife ushered her children safely before returning to help her husband. She was also stabbed to death. Authorities have not said if the girls witnessed both of their parents being killed. Andrew was cooperative during the arrest and admitted to killing the couple soon after, Rhodes said. Police also matched his DNA to blood found at the crime scene. The case is distressing even to police. In my 27 years that I've been with the state police, this is probably one of the most heinous that we've had, especially the aspect of just how random it was, Rose said. But officials emphasized at the news conference that Andrew, who has no criminal record, is innocent until proven guilty. So, I mean, if you guys tested his DNA at the blood that was found at the crime scene and you guys said that his DNA matched the blood there, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, what, you're going to try to find the weapon there, and if you got it, you're going to try to test his, hand on the weapon for the stabbing? But I mean, if you guys got him, it is what it is. Again, it's all about the motive. Why would someone do this? Why would someone want to kill someone that they don't know? And again, you're leaving children without parents. They had 3 children, and now they are without parents now. That sucks. I feel sorry for the children. And again, it's just still so weird, especially when you go into knowing about the suspect's life, because they would break it down here. They say that Andrew has actively teaching licenses in Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma, according to each respective government certification website. There are no infractions or suspensions noted on his public state license in any of those states. The Associated Press reached out to all 3 state education agencies on Thursday. So he was a teacher. If you're a teacher, why would you do this to a couple that had children with them? Again, I don't know what it was or what it is going down in the world right now, but again, I've stated this before, we are living in a real crazy time. And I want people to be safe out there, man. If you're going on hikes, make sure you are in a group. Make sure you're with people that you trust, and make sure you're with people that can handle themselves. I'm not saying that this couple couldn't handle themselves, but when you look at it, the information that came out about it, again, it's a family. A mom, a dad, and daughters. The mom does what the mom's supposed to do, take the kids, try to make sure they get away safely, while the husband tries to make sure that this dude doesn't attack his wife or his children, and he ultimately puts his life on the line, and it is what it is. But again, this is still new. Hopefully more information comes out about this, and Homeboy breaks about a motive for why he did what he did. If, again, right now they don't know if he is the guy, but they said DNA matched the blood that was there. Again, they got to put their official stamp on it. So we'll see if Mr. Andrew McGann is the person that did this. But if you are going on a hike, if you are going on a run, if you are doing anything out in the wild/nature, please be in a group with people that can hold their own. That's all I'm going to say to you. And make sure you are out there with an environment where there's a lot of people. Because I think, even though we're in a crazy time, I don't think a fool, well, let me scratch that, because I think it's more unlikely for someone to attack you in a crowded situation compared to you being attacked when it's scarcity. You got a person here, a person there type situation, instead of at all times it just being people present at all time. You know what I mean? So we'll wait and see with this. Please take care of yourselves, everyone. And again, I do give my condolences to the daughters that lost their mom and dad because of this unfortunate situation. And now, getting off of the sad news here, because I'm tired of talking about sad news here. Shannon Sharpe. My man, he lost his job at ESPN. They have officially parted ways with Shannon Sharpe. That happened this week. I didn't expect that to happen. I thought that he would potentially get his job back. I thought he would have been back on ESPN when football season actually rolls around. I know where they're in training camp now and all that type of stuff, but I'm talking about when the season comes about. I thought Shannon Sharpe would be on ESPN television, but no. They decided to cut ways with him because they're not going to be trying to handle the publicity or the scrutiny from Sharpe settling his sexual assault lawsuit with his ex-girlfriend. So they decided to ixnay that. Okay, cool. Shannon Sharpe doesn't hold no ill will towards them. It is what it is. It's business. It's Disney. They gotta, they have a thing with doing that now. So Shannon Sharpe, he's out of that job there. Now, Shannon Sharpe would get hit with another lawsuit, and this time it's not sexual assault, it's a defamation lawsuit. It's from a woman that him and Chad Ochocinco talked about on their Nightcap podcast, right? And the woman was in a viral video which Sharpe and Ocho talked about. She was at a Usher concert. She was in the little flirty moment with Usher at the concert, and it was floating around on the internet that the woman was married, right? Because, again, the thing that was talked about on the internet was Usher going up to women that had guys at the concert, or they were married. That was all that Usher would attach himself to at these little concerts and have these little moments with them. That was the talk of the internet. Okay, that was the thing. So the woman now claims that Shannon Sharpe and Ocho falsely stated she was married and that her husband was divorcing her due to the viral moment, right? I can't see this thing being a real thing. I can't, bro. This is not $20 million worth of a situation. It's not. To me, it's not. And I think to a lot of people, it's not. Daily Mail would put up, according to court records being read, I participated in a fan engagement moment at an Usher Raymond concert where I interacted with an artist as a selected audience member. Following this event, the defendants made and disseminated false and defamatory statements suggested that I was married and that my husband was filing for divorce due to my participation in this audience experience, the woman stated. I am not married, nor am I currently going through a divorce. She will say that the joking accusations made by Sharpe and Johnson have caused significant harm to my character and reputation. So, she is seeking, if I'm not mistaken, $20 million from this. Listen, everyone is now time to be going for headhunting season on Shannon Sharpe. Because right now, we do not know how much he paid his ex-girlfriend. The ex-girlfriend did file a suit with, her lawyer Tony Busby back in April, and it was for $50 million. The lawyer does not talk about how much Shannon Sharpe and the girl settled for, so we don't know that. But we do know that the girl did end up putting up a post on OnlyFans, I want to say, last week or earlier this week, talking about how she's getting off the platform and she's going to be doing other things now, all right? So people are already dissecting that it had to be a large lump sum of money for that Shannon Sharpe gave to her. It is now headhunting season for Shannon Sharpe. I don't think this woman's going to get $20 million at all. I don't think she's going to get 7 figures. She, at most, might get 6 figures if Shannon Sharpe's lawyers don't squash this thing, if I'm going to be honest with you. But this is not a $20 million lawsuit at all. This is just, oh, word, he paid her that amount? oh word, I can do figures in my head and guesstimate or be in the ballpark of how much Shannon ended up giving to that woman. Oh no, I have a suit because they took a viral moment of me, said something about it, and now my feelings are hurt. And now I'm going to sue them. Okay. I mean, we're in America. You can sue for anything with anybody now. But if she did face some type of irreparable harm from what Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson did say, I mean, she's going to get some money out of this. I think it's going to happen, first and foremost, but I don't think this is worth $20 million. I don't. We'll see what happens. Again, I was wrong about Shannon Sharpe going back to ESPN. I thought it would happen, but nope. I was wrong on that. I could be wrong on this one. This could be a 8-figure deal. This could be a 7-figure deal. If it is, that's crazy to me. But again, things are just so different. The world's different, and we'll wait and see what happens there. But man, oh boy, when it rains, it definitely pours for Shannon Sharpe, man. That has to suck. Going off of sucking, but on the reverse side of this, for this particular person, tongue-tied there. Ghislaine Maxwell. This week it has been a real turning of the tides for her, because Ghislaine Maxwell, she did meet with, if I'm not mistaken, people in the government to talk about her and Jeffrey Epstein and all that stuff, right? Ghislaine Maxwell has offered to testify before Congress about the case of her accomplice, Jeffrey Epstein, but with major conditions, her attorney said. Lawyers for the convicted sex trafficker and former girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein have sent her demands to the House Oversight Committee. CNN first reported. Maxwell was subpoenaed to testify next month by House Oversight Chair James Comer. Her attorney said in a letter Tuesday that she would cooperate if a fair and safe path forward can be established. Maxwell demands reportedly included a grant of formal immunity, and any interview would need to take place away from the correctional facility where she is currently serving her 20 years sentence. So those are part of the demands that she has, right? So let me give you this right now. Continuing on from the Independent, because the thing that I read was from the Independent. Continuing on here, this is a new article that came out. The Independent would put out an article saying Ghislaine Maxwell quietly moved from Florida prison to softer Texas honored dorm after asking for Trump pardon. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence for her role in helping Jeffrey Epstein recruit, groom, and abuse young girls. She was being held at a federal prison in Tallahassee. Now she's at the federal prison Camp Bryan in Southeast Texas, a Bureau of Prisons spokesperson told The Sun. The Florida prison was classified as a minimum security prison with a detention center that housed nearly 1,200 men and women. She was being housed in an honored dorm for the best behaved inmates, and activities included yoga and Pilates. Her new prison is an all-female prison that houses 600 inmates. It has limited perimeter fencing and is home to fraudster Elizabeth Holmes and reality star Jen Shaw. Maxwell was temporarily placed at a federal prison in Louisiana before she moved to Texas, The Sun reports. So it seems to me that at least one of her quote-unquote demands have been met. She did say that she wanted to be moved away from the correctional facility that she was serving if she was going to do any type of interviews. So that has already been done. Now, ultimately, the big goal is to get oneself out of prison if you if you have the type of notes or type of information that Ghislaine Maxwell has. Because think about it, Ghislaine was known, or she has been now known, for being the person that helped Jeffrey Epstein solicited or grab women to be at the Jeffrey Epstein Island and be with these celebrities or socialites or people in top positions. And again, it's all alleged on Jeffrey Epstein's side, but for Ghislaine Maxwell, remember, she's been guilty of these things. So it's guilty, all right? They basically call her an accomplice to all criminal sex trafficking charges with this stuff. So she has information that the people want. People have been asking for the list. People have been asking for names. She knows exactly who has been there. She knows exactly probably what dates. She knows probably where all the quote unquote dead bodies, which is probably the recordings or anything like that happened on the island. She probably knows where all those stuff is located. So information is always power. So if she's able to talk with the Department of Justice and discuss the files and discuss Epstein and all that, right? She is able to barter that for, hey, I want this, so I can give you this. And if you want this, you got to give me this. And again, ultimately, the big thing will be the pardon. Now, Trump being the president, he could pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, and all this can be vanished. Because again, people are already speculating that Trump's name is in the black book of people that visited Jeffrey Epstein's island and did some things with the women over there. Again, this is all alleged. His name could be on it, name could not be on it. Who's to say until there's been clear evidence of it? We all just have conspiracy theories of it. And again, certain conspiracy theories are right, but it's still a conspiracy theory until it all comes out truthfully. But she has knowledge. And knowledge, as I said, is power. So it's best just to play ball with her. Or you could try to silence her. Whatever way you want to do about it. And I think this is the best way how they're going about it. They're trying to silence her. Play towards her goodwill. And, hey, we'll bend the knee a little bit, but you got to make sure you shut up. So we'll wait and see. Again, this is still an ongoing situation here. People still want the Epstein files. People want the Epstein logs, who was there, all that. That hasn't been shown to anybody yet. That will constantly be asked until this year is over with. And then probably when 2026 starts, there'll probably be something big and massive happen. And then it'll get everybody's mind off the Jeffrey Epstein's files if it hasn't been released by that point, right? So we'll wait and see, okay? Now, with that being said, congratulations to Ghislaine, though. She's held to her ground. She's making them bend the knee. And, yeah, she's showing you how to really do it if you got that type of power like that. Now, moving off of that, the last thing that I do want to make mention before I just ramble off a couple things. PBS, or the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, has decided they are shutting down because of funding, right? And this is coming from the Time magazine. They will say the Corporation for Public Broadcasting announced on Friday that it would be winding down its operations after President Donald Trump rescinded $1.1 billion in funding for the nonprofit, which for decades have sustained NPR, PBS, and hundreds of local public media stations across the country. The CPB president and CEO, Patricia Harrison, would say in a statement, despite the extraordinary efforts of millions of Americans who called, wrote, and petitioned Congress to preserve federal funding for CPB, we now face the difficult reality of closing our operations. She added that the organization would work to support its partners during the transition with transparency and care. What that means is the loss of federal support enacted as part of a broader $9 billion recession package signed by Trump in July will not bring an immediate end to national programming like PBS NewsHour or NPR's Morning Edition, but the decision is expected to pose serious challenges to the network of smaller, often rural public broadcasters that have long depended on CPB funding for their survival. So meaning your big local, not gonna say big local stuff but like the big products, the big parts of PBS and NPR, they're still gonna be running for months to come. But all your local stations, all your local public access stuff that shows up on PBS, those stuffs are more likely going to be chopped down within the months to come. They say that the majority of CPB's roughly 100 employees will be laid off when the federal fiscal year ends on September 30th, according to a press release. A smaller team will remain through January to complete financial and legal obligations, including final disbursements and the expiration of system-wide music licenses. So it's sad to see PBS and NPR, the stations of these public broadcasting institutions, being shut down. I didn't really listen to much NPR. PBS was a station that played the Magic School Bus. What was it? Some other shows when I was a kid. I would see that literally on my television screens whenever I was in my elementary schools. They'll play that. It'll be something fun and education, take the kids' minds off of things before they really start learning things. I'm not certain that they do that now in schools, but I know PBS is important because, again, it keeps people that are, it keeps the news running. It is able to teach people things. You learn little nitpicks about things on PBS as well. It's sad to see that kind of go. NPR, same thing. Never listened to it. I know one of my college professors, they talk about how they listen to NPR. They say it's like a fair and balanced station. But to see these things be clipped, it's not fun. These should be institutions that should be lasting, that should always last. It doesn't make sense why they're not getting the money. I understand that, again, Trump isn't going to do it because he might have some bad relations with said companies, but I think they should be grandfathered in. I think that these institutions should not be lost, and that money should always be allocated to these type of situations. I really do think that. I think if you are doing a public service the way that PBS does and NPR does, you should always have a say. You should always have a say in what's going down, and the government should always allocate money to you guys. There should never be a time when you guys shouldn't have money being to these stations. But, hey man, again, it is what it is. I'm sad to see these public stations go, but again, new regime, it's crazy what's going down, it's crazy what's happening, but we shall see what happens in the near future. Now, with that stated, is there anything else I do want to make mention before I get you guys out of here? Yes. Happy Gilmore. I saw some people having some discourse over Happy Gilmore this week. More specifically with the Happy Gilmore 2 sequel that came out, last Friday? I'm going to say this right now. I had no problem watching Happy Gilmore 2. I want people to understand that when you have a movie either being a sequel or it being a reboot from something that happened 10 to 20 years ago, it is a legacy movie, okay? You have to understand what you're going into with a legacy movie. Meaning, there's going to be some things that's going to be a running gag that happened from the first movie that they're going to put into the second movie, but they're going to modernize it up because you can't have the same old beat for beat joke that happened back in the 1990s happen in 2020s now, and it'd be the exact same thing. No updating of it. No, you got to update the situation to meet the times that you're in. Okay? And also with a legacy movie, you're going to have everybody from the previous movie that played a part that was significant be back in the newer version of the movie. More specifically, Happy Gilmore 2, he has Shooter McGavin. He gave the grandmother a tombstone because the actress is no longer alive. Gave Chubbs a tombstone because the actor is no longer alive. Gave the guy that would always shout out to Adam Sandler's character, Happy Gilmore, shouting jackass. He gave him a tombstone. Even gave him a fake son. Well, gave him a son in the movie, played by Eminem. And so forth. Even the guy that had the nail in his head, he had a son. And because the actor is no longer alive. See, there's things, again, legacy characters that they brought back from the first one. You had to modernize it up because the actor's no longer here for the second movie to pay tribute. That stuff happens in the legacy movies. There's just certain things that you should know when you go into it, and you should know that you should have your expectation bar kind of set low because it's never going to match the first movie that happened all those years ago. So again, for anybody that came into Happy Gilmore 2 with a high bar, I don't know what you expected. All these people are older individuals. They're no longer young, and we're no longer in that headspace anymore back in that time period. I just want people to know that whenever you look at legacy movies going further down the line, all right? Especially in the horror genre, because you'll get Screams, or now they're remaking I Know What You Did Last Summer. They do that is again another legacy situations, and people go in there with high expectations. Don't do that. Go in there with low expectations, and if they happen to meet the low expectations, you can always say, this is what I expected, and I'm not surprised about it, or I'm not disappointed in it. But if they exceeded those low expectations, you can always say, well, I had this expectation, but they exceeded it. I'm not mad at it. I'm actually come across and I get away with this nicely. And I have a good taste in my mouth. Because I don't want people to ever leave a movie or leave something that they watch. Because again, it's a legacy thing, because you have the previous thing that they're revamping, glamorizing your head, and you're going to go into this thing trying to say that, oh, it's going to match this, or let's see how they do it. Always go into that with a low bar. That's all I can say for you guys, and know the legacy rules about it, the ways that I told you earlier. But yeah, Happy Gilmore 2, solid movie. Go watch it. It could be something you just play in the background as you're doing something, and I guarantee you certain things about it will catch your eye, and you'll get a couple chuckles out of it. Anything else I want to make mention of? I think that's it. So, with that stated, now it's time for me to get you guys out of here. I would like to thank all the podcasting sites for having me on here. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Audible, Amazon Podcasting, iHeart, all of the podcasting sites out there, because without these podcasting sites, I wouldn't be able to get this podcast out to you guys, downloaders and listeners. So I'd like to thank the podcasting sites, but also I'd like to thank you guys, downloaders and listeners, because without you guys, I would just be one guy talking into a microphone, into a void, and my podcast would be going absolutely nowhere. It hits different places in the world, and it's still so shocking to me because you never expect it. I know when people do podcasts, they expect to get their voice out there and all this type of stuff, but me, I just have my own mindset, my own thought process, but I'm trying to expand it out. But it's still just crazy to me to see where the podcast does reaches from week to week and country to country. It's still weird to see it, but I do appreciate it. So that's just the long way of basically saying I appreciate everyone for downloading the podcast and just listening to me just ramble and talk about things. Whether it's in your car, in your home, at the gym, I just appreciate it so much, and I hope you do take something out of this podcast and talk to someone about it. That's what I do hope for everyone, all right? So with that stated, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
I truly do mean that. That is not a gimmick. I appreciate and love every single one of you guys. I want everyone to have a great and blessed day, and also a great and blessed week. If you are a fan of professional wrestling, watch it. WWE, SummerSlam, Night 1, just happened last night. I will be doing a review of night 1 and night 2 tomorrow on my SummerSlam review. So expect that on the Monday episode. If you didn't listen to me give my predictions for SummerSlam, you can go listen to Saturday's Wrestling Highlights of the Week episode there. You can go and hear me talk about that there. But without further ado, this upcoming week, as I said, Monday, SummerSlam review. Wednesday will be a midweek breakdown. That's where I talk to you guys for 15 to 20 minutes about any and everything, and I'll always leave you guys with a song, which I title your song of the week, so you can go and check that out. Thursday and Saturday, both professional wrestling episodes. Thursday is more me talking about any and everything about professional wrestling. It's called Let's Have a Chat. And my Saturday episodes are Wrestling Highlights of the Week, and I talk about the highlights that happen in wrestling. So there you go with that. And next Sunday, you get another My 2 Cents podcast episode where I talk about everything that happened in the news, give my opinions, and there you go. So that's the schedule for this upcoming week. And with that stated, this has been My 2 Cents podcast, hosted by G2. He is I, and I am him. This isn't goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. Please do not be a dick. Please be courteous to everyone that you do come in contact with, because you don't know what your voice or your positivity can do for them. Because guess what? Somebody might be having a crappy day. They might want to try to do something to themselves. But if you come across them and they see your positivity and they see that you had a positive reaction to them, it could change their day, and it actually could change up how they feel. And they might not want to do something to themselves. All right. So please try to be positive to anybody that you do come across. I believe that's everything. So, with that stated, Kanye, can you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.